There are some things in our society and some things in our world for which I'm proud to be maladjusted. And I call upon all men of goodwill to be maladjusted to these things until the good society is realized.
Very quickly hit the no sound button. There we go.
Racial segregation and discrimination.
I'm just going to remain quiet during this because I don't know is the actual intro with the full speeches and all, or it's just the music.
I never intend to adjust myself.
Did I fail at being quiet? There's just then.
That will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few, leave millions of God's children smothering in an airtight cage of poverty in the midst of
Try to look at
affluent society.
the chat and see our pictures in the line.
My name
There we
is
go.
Asada Shakur, and I was born and raised in the United States. I am a descendant of Africans who were kidnapped and brought to the Americas as slaves.
About. Are we still listening to music?
Yes. I'm thinking that the intro is too long for us to actually start the show with it.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just like we always just like have just to be the music intro.
Bottom line, where human life has no value at all. We're fighting an
I mean, I don't know why you started this with the full intro and all.
I have a fun story that I want to share with everyone.
Is it about the Ren Fair?
It is.
Then go nuts.
Okay.
Wait, are we live? Are we listening to the
We are
intro
live,
still?
and the thing is,
So about an hour after I left the chat from last week, I learned an important lesson about 100-degree temperatures and drinking binges.
oh,
So as it turns out,
you got to spend some time lying in a cool, dark place, getting fed a lot of water.
yeah, drinking exacerbates the symptoms of heat. Heat exacerbates the symptoms of drunkenness.
Mm-hmm.
And when they combine, you miserable times and the worst goddamn hangover symptoms. Oh my god! Like the next day and a half.
I would also say that also applies to people coming off of a weed thing, because especially when you have to like remove the water from your the toxins from your system, you kind of feel dehydrated after that, especially in the heat. So kind of the same thing when it comes to weed.
Yeah, because one of the ways that your body tries to shed shit, get stuff out, is through sweat. So when you drink, you sweat a lot.
So
Drink responsibly, heat responsibly.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I didn't like I've done the pub crawl for the last like 4 or 5 years now, and it was never this hot. And also, I never like I was plastered, but I was never like puking, laying on the ground drunk from it. It's not actually that much alcohol. It's just a lot within kind of a short time. But yeah, demolished.
drink more water and popcorn with the booze.
Indeed.
I'm on salts. That makes sense. I actually just had some popcorn, but plain popcorn. I don't need like artificial butter on my popcorn to eat it this. Or I guess I'm one of those weird persons like that. And hello, Context Rich, how are you doing? And so it's just Alchemy. We're 90 minutes like us leftists and anarchists just sitting around trying about like whatever comes to mind. But it's the second Sunday of the month, so it's the Patreon show. So to thank the other patrons that their names are scrolling down at the bottom. Thank you to the social scholar Floor, the Fuck Boys, Joe, who's in the call with us, Marty, Ellie, who's in the call with us as well. Stat
Von
Noise, Von Rack, and Tim. I think I got everyone. Yeah,
I
let's,
believe
like-
you did. I'm having trouble.
Mithril. Thank you, Mithril, as well. Mithril's one of the new ones. And of course, like the regular irregulars of like me, Summer and Geek being a pirate knight now, or like a hunter, John Brockman being a cat, and Isaiah Taylor down there being Isaiah Taylor. So how's everyone?
I still haven't figured out the Avril Lavigne background yet, but I'm working on it.
I'm really good. Just got off a nice vacation time, followed up by one day of work and three more days off. I got my new shirt, which is great.
Oh, nice.
Christine Pitt's Hardball League?
It's Christy Pitts, but
Christy.
yeah, it's the site of a anti-fascist protest up in Canada.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Otherwise, just generally good. Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield have been eating up a bunch of my time.
Yep. It's like of the people that I follow on Twitch, it's like unless it's like their usual stuff of what they usually play or like the stream and stuff like that. A lot of them is like even one or two things. It's either Baldur's Gate 3 or Starfield, as it were. So how many people have you romanced in your several playthroughs of Baldur's Gate 3 already, Joe?
I am not through a single playthrough yet, but the answer to in a single playthrough is 3.
I expect no less.
Yeah, it's no longer in the alpha. It is going to take significantly longer to get through a playthrough than when it was just the first act.
Yeah. Did the you played through the alpha, didn't you?
Yep.
'Cause I avoided it until then. Did Act 1 include any of the Underdark stuff, or is that
Yes.
purely... Okay. Yeah, I wasn't positive if I was through Act 1 yet, because...
You're not through Act 1 until you can actually travel to Baldur's Gate.
Oh, I thought
I think it's a mountain pass.
Okay.
It's blocked.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know if you go into the mountain pass, it essentially tells you that it's like, if there's anything you need to do it before you go through here, and that's not the case with the Underdark, so I wasn't sure if that was the case. And I actually stepped through there because I wanted to visit the creche first, and then when I tried to go back, it's like, I won't be able to protect you, so don't do this. And then I did it just to see what would happen, and he's unable to protect you, and you turn into a mind flayer. So I loaded a previous save to investigate the Underdark first.
There is so much to discover just in that one area. The full game is going to be Cocoa Bananas.
Yeah.
So Eli, what have you been up to?
I all of a sudden have a whole bunch of plants in my apartment, live ones, and Lego ones, and wooden ones. So that's fun.
So you're taking care of the plants and make sure to water it. Now, do you like scare them into submission so that they'll be like good plants and don't die? Like God.
Like Crowley and Good Omens. I haven't mastered this technique, and I can't do the eyes, so I don't think it will help.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, I forgot this like a name is like Crowley. That's right. Yes, and like boop to you too, Lascivia. Act 1 ends when you go to the cruise line near Moonrise as well too. Yes. I say, Taylor, how you been?
I'm good. How are you, Ben?
Just same old, working as much as I can. Then I'm playing Fortnite. Getting frustrated at myself when I'm playing Fortnite oftentimes for sucking. Then that's pretty much it. But yeah, my life is not very exciting right now as we're
Writing my script.
Oh yeah, for the Moth movie you're doing.
Yeah, and I actually got some model butterflies that I can like use as like a basis.
Hmm.
Let me get one. Hold on.
Oh shit! Do I actually have like a invite code for like a blue sky? I do. Okay then. Uh, I don't know who would want to be on like blue sky as it were, but like I guess let me know as it were.
I got my first Halloween decoration instead of 6 uh, imitation candles. It's hard to tell when it's lit up, but it's got a little wick thing to pretend it's a candle, but it's just a light that changes color. You can also see one of them in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those aren't particularly spooky, though, so I judge you.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah,
I could put fake blood on the outside.
It's supposed to be fake candle, apparently.
On TikTok, there's this trend of making like a candle jacuzzi for a tiny skeleton. Those are really cute. Where they take a plastic, the upper part of a plastic skeleton and sort of glue it to the side of a bowl, and then they put wicks into the bottom and just pour on some wax, and then they have this candle. I'm a bit afraid that the plastic might burn or but might melt if it gets too hot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those are cool like models. Like I say, yeah.
Which one?
It'd also be fun to use. They got like this like skeleton candy that you just put like bits of that, like just drop them in as you're filling it with wax and the wax is setting.
Yep.
So like as you burn it down, you just unlayer different levels of skeleton.
and then
Which one should I use?
Isaiah, you had a question, as it were.
Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off, Ellie. I was just asking which one should I use for like this one or this one?
I don't know.
I like the second one. No,
Yeah.
Because he was showing us the back of the first one. But they're both moths.
that became harder now. I like them both a lot.
Yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with either one that you choose, something like that.
Yeah.
This looks more like a moth than this one does.
Maybe. I've not spent much time looking at moths. I think they're mostly dark colors because it's nighttime stuff. Yeah.
Although these are actually butterflies, but I'm moths.
And those who don't know the difference is that like butterflies have like just straight antennas as were, and moths have like fuzzy antennas as were. They have like tines on their antennas as were. Yes, Kirok, how you doing? How's everyone? Most part of everyone is just like fine for the most part. Notice the super chats is turned off. This channel's not monetized. That's why.
Yeah.
I don't know how close we even are to like monetization too. They kind of have changed the rules a bit. It did used to be like, you have to pass a certain threshold, but with a sheeple threshold, then most people can like easily monetize like their channels to work. But I think you have to opt into it and turn it on. Mothman dies for our sins. Hello, Phoenix. How you doing? Died for your sins as were. Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Mothman has died for our sins, and you were just saying you and yo instead of like you. Yes. You as were. Apparently, that was like a line that like gets some people hot and bothered as it were, but it has to be like from their significant other. You. I don't know. What that means in monetize? Like, I'm sorry. Yeah. No. So as I said before, there was a time where it's just like you just have to have a YouTube channel and pass a really achievable threshold and it get monetized to the world. And then Logan Paul goes out and record himself at like the Suicide Forest in Japan and something like that. And that's where like YouTube had to like punish smaller YouTubers by changing the rules of like how to get monetized. And then it's like that. And that's where it's like you have to get to 1,000 subs and have 4,000 hours of watch time in a year as work. And that 4,000 hours of watch time is actually like quite a beast as well. They have changed recently. Now, like a certain amount of views with YouTube Shorts, as it were. It's a pronouns, and pronouns makes the conversations cry, conservatives cry. Yes, exactly. They, them, he, him, they, them are my pronouns. Yes, I have neo pronouns.
I use he, him pronouns.
John probably uses he, him, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Same with you, Lord.
I'm boring. Boring cishet white dude.
Okay, but you're not boring just because you're cis-het. Let's all remember that, because there can be boring non-binary people, boring trans people, and boring queer people, as it were, or being like perpetuating like I'm just a boring cis-het white person, as it were. Kind of like perpetuates the idea that the conservatives have. They're like, oh, you just it's like Ben Shapiro. Oh, you just like to say you're non-binary just because you want to feel special, as it were. They, he's, she's, my pronouns. Yes. Zeta, I'm assuming you are he/him pronouns as well. Yes, I did assume that it was like a pronouns, but he said yes. That's where I did hear him say yes. You believe Act 2 before getting, then you can like go back down. In Act 2 of Baldur's Gate 3, there are 2 rings that you want to like get if you romance a companion. One is the graveyard, and the other's in the House of Healing. And a true love's a caress, and the true love's embrace. That's the word too. Dude,
They give a warding bond between you and the companion that wears them. Nice.
Are you talking about the game that that guy freaked out over? There was a guy who freaked out about pronouns in the game.
I don't know about pronouns, but we're talking about Baldur's Gate 3, where you can fuck a bear.
But there's this game reviewer who freaked out about having the choice to choose his own pronoun.
Let's see. I definitely know that the reactionaries just like freak the fuck out over like BattleTech, because you can. I think in BattleTech you can choose your pronouns, and you can choose to be like non-binary in that one too. And again, just simple options. And what would be a game that like a lot of those conservatives would actually really enjoy too, because it's like mech warrior strategy game. It's a like turn-based like strategy game with like a big giant like war machines, as it were, and it's very political too as well. But like maybe I want
Baldur's Gate 3's character creation is great as far as that goes. You can you have a voice that you can pick independent of you can set what people address you as far as he, she, or they. You can set what people are. You can set your genitals, despite your other secondary sexual characteristics. You can set your voice regardless of your genitals or your expression.
Awesome.
And also there are illusionary spells and magic items that can shift those whenever.
And they've completely decoupled the race system from the bonus system. So you can create the character however you want and play whatever you want, rather than having to try and min-max in the way that people used to do.
Well, I mean, there's still bits of min-maxing, like, picking something with dark vision, or picking a race because they start with armor proficiencies, and you plan to play a wizard. That sort of thing still exists, but at least they
minimize the min-maxing.
the inherent feeling like you can't play a certain race because you want to play a
certain
class with max charisma or max strength isn't really an issue anymore.
Okay, that's good, because like even though it's like it was always common before, like the Skyrim, as it were, if you want to be like a kind of warrior class, you have to like be Nord or Redguard or like something else. Elves was always be like kind of a rogue class, as it were, and I always have to like choose some kind of like long range weapons, as it were, because in Skyrim has like those giant flying like flamethrowers that attack you, and if you're a melee character, how the hell you can take down a dragon in Skyrim?
I would say there's still ways, if you have a decent enough if you have enough health and training in shields, you can still fight dragons melee okay. If you use the correct, if you use your timing and your cooldowns correct on your shouts, but.
The shouts are. I always forget.
Fuzzrada! I haven't played the game, so I don't actually know how that's pronounced.
Anyway, so Kirok has some. Yeah, hello, Kirok, and hello, Lucidia. I'm not sure if I I booped you to Lucidia, so I did say hi to you. My question I want to ask. So Kirok says, my question I want to ask you in Discord actually includes this group, or rather you and John Crumpin, since this is your channel. I ask you, would you before I ask on Discord or something like that? You can ask here, honestly.
Yeah.
I did not prepare it at all for this. I'm lazy when it comes to like the Patreon shows. It's just like, oh, let's just talk about whatever. And I'm totally fine talking about like Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield, since even though I haven't played all those things as well too. But yeah, Kirog, we also
A
have,
dear
like,
friend who thought was a liberal turned out he was a right-wing conservative. How would you react? I honestly am very unlikely to have that problem because I am very straightforward about my contempt for the right-wing conservatives.
I just don't
But
just frequent those groups anyway.
but this is a real situation for Kirok. So
My family is kind of right wing, not as right wing as people in the United States, but they're definitely more right wing than I am. And I've also had a friend who kind of got seduced into some alt-right rhetoric. And it wasn't the only reason why I stopped being friends with him. But there came a time where he got so emboldened by all the bullshit on YouTube that I couldn't stand to be around him. It was a stressor. So I had to sort of I had to sort of tell him I couldn't be friends with him anymore because it was too stressful. And it was difficult. But if you can sort of still be friends and not talk about politics, I think you can be friends, but it requires empathy from both sides to remain friends with that person.
I would say I've had this happen where it's just like I had this like friend who was a Republican, and we because she was like my autism coach, but I just thought she was kind of just using me, and I was getting like some pretty bad vibes. So I guess one day we just got into an argument that we never came back from, and we went our separate ways.
It's what do you call it? There are certain things that will impact how you decide to address it. If this person is, there's certainly lengths you can go through to keep somebody in your life, making sure even if they're not willing to change, that they're willing to respect your things enough not to, preach to you about their bad inclines. And like there's so many people, like even at work, there've been a bunch of people. It's like I have close friends in the trans community. Please don't say that, you shouldn't be saying those things at all, but I'm not going to harp on you all the time, but please don't around me,
Yeah. A coworker, even though it was like we were all at the bar but with a bunch of other coworkers, and we just want to have fun and something like that. When a coworker dropped the T slur rhymes with granny, I spent 30 minutes talking to him about why you shouldn't do that. I think this is before it even came out as non-binary too, and it's like. But he's like, oh, but Jonathan, you're just impeding on my free speech and something like that, and it's just like, so, I don't think this guy is a neo-Nazi. But one free speech warrior, but not as severe. However, he has make jokes about oh, this is a POL, something like that, or does it identify as a POL? And if I have not seen him for a long time because like he left the company of his own accord, he wanted to go to greener pastures, basically. Hey, but like next time I do see him, because maybe sometimes like the friends I have or coworkers I have are friends with him, so show up at the gatherings is where I will say how I feel about like, yeah, please don't make that joke again, please, especially not in my presence as well, because FYI, I am genderqueer, non-binary. Here are my pronouns as were, and I at least like to depending on the person as it were. With this person, he also has the conversations like, oh, why do trans people get special treatment for like a surgery, something like that? I mean, if I say I have psychological damage for having this right hand, will I get a free surgery to remove my right hand? I spend again another 30 minutes explaining like what's wrong with that idea as well, and how it does not relate to what trans peoples are going through as well.
Really, what world is that?
Yes, exactly.
This is like uh, one of the biggest arguments I ever had with my family was because we had we had a woman working for me and my mother to help us clean out the apartment, and she happened to be from Kenya and was black. And my dad called her, and this is he called her a slave basically. And I got so angry with him, and I didn't care that we were in public. I ripped on him for like for like hours because I was just like, don't ever say this about a black person who happens to have a cleaning job, or any job, or any black person, and don't say it in front of, just don't say it. It's just like I have never been that so angry. I mean, it's just like, oh my God, he said that in public too, where everyone could hear him say it. It was just disgusting.
Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah, that was really terrible. It's like, if I had like, if I had, if it had been in Copenhagen, I could have just left. I would not have argued. I would just have told him he was disgusting and left. But I was with them on vacation, so I couldn't just leave. But it's just like it can be exhausting to have those kinds of arguments because he still doesn't see what he did wrong. But it's just like it was just like I don't know. I think he lacks empathy. Also, my dad. I think he has a problem with.
There's also the difference that some people are like passionately right wing, and some people are. They grew up in a Fox News household in a small town and never encountered anything else. You know, it's and you know sometimes you just have a person who doesn't think carefully about this stuff. They just listen to Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro, and they're like, "Oh, that just makes sense," and they never go beyond the surface level. And it's different if they're like, you know, if they are Joe Rogan or Ben Shapiro or something, Charlie Kirk, somebody who is actually working toward this stuff, like genuinely and passionately. It's something you have to negotiate, and I can understand feeling hurt. Because you were trusting this person, and now you feel maybe you can't. You might feel unsafe a little bit. It's hard.
It's really hard. That was one of the reasons why I dumped my friend, because I knew I was trans and I knew I had to come out sooner and later. And he was saying things that made me feel unsafe around him. It wasn't the only reason why I dumped his ass, but it was one of the reasons.
Yeah, for me, it's just like I don't know if I ever had this like happen where it's just like someone that like knew for a long time thought like his politics is one way, turns out his politics is another way. If that's honestly, if like I don't keep friends with people who are Trump supporters or like fascists or like vote for the Republican Party, the Republican Party, as it were, regularly. If some of my friends happen to do vote for that party, I'm not aware of it. and if it's come up, I'm not silent. Like I said before, I've been kicked out of the Discord server because of like it was too political. But I was kind of like, actually a couple actually now that I think about it. But I understand why they did, and like that's the Discord server is just a Discord server for a streamer, and it's just like it's almost like a no politics free zone as it were too. And to one of them I have my issues with, but like the other one's like no, but I can understand because like yeah, political talk can be contentious as it were, especially with me. Um, is family?
Yeah, you can't just go into a chat about how to change a diaper and start talking communist policy. That's not good, geek.
No, but it's like, have you noticed how right wingers say, "Oh, not everything is political. Everything is so political," and then they will bring up trans people in a context where it has nothing to do with trans people.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this thing about there was this fat woman, and fat is not a slur, by the way. That she had to she couldn't fit into a plane seat on a plane, and there was some conservatives talking about all the sort of fat phobic tropes, and then all of a sudden they start to bring up trans people, and I was like,
why?
doesn't have yeah, why? It's just like it has nothing to do with it, or like it. They will say things are not political, then it will bring up trans people just randomly. Or there's like on TikTok, there's a lot of talk about not putting your kids in videos because there are men, and it's mostly cis men, sort of saying really nasty things about younger cis, like women and girls. And all of a sudden there was somebody said, "Oh yeah, it's so common now with all these trans people and LGBTQ," and it was just like that. It's just like, wow, that doesn't have anything to do with like men being gross. Men have been gross for like ever.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sorry, you go ahead.
No, it's fine. I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, smart should never be a value judgment. I agree. Context restlessly.
How come I never fell down that rabbit hole?
I don't know.
You got lucky. You got smart. It's kind of like it's luck all the way down in some ways.
Yes.
You know.
I was also raised by a lot of very strong women too, so I think that also helped.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that can certainly help with, not just feeling like all of the masculine entitlement bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. As I know,
when you have so many practical examples of the fact that women aren't inherently less strong than men.
Even when I was like around a lot, my shitty dad and my shitty brother, and how sometimes they would talk about women in a demeaning way, I still like when they would say it, and maybe it's the autistic thing, and maybe when they would like say something kind of borderline sexist, I would say, "So you don't think a woman could do the same thing? You don't like I would never say that, but I'm just like." It's kind of, I put it this way, it's kind of like when someone made fun of me wearing glasses, like my brother used to do. I was like, what? So I don't get the joke about why wearing glasses is funny. Like, I know now, because that's the whole, like, nerd crap, but I just
my goodness.
I didn't get why someone would laugh at me for glasses.
Yeah, and that's that is actually a really good tactic. When somebody says something offensive or hurtful or just bigoted, just ask them to explain it. Just keep on just asking, like, no, I don't get it. Like, why?
Explain that joke. Is it funny because women aren't as good as men? Is that the joke?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's the joke, then it's not true, but okay.
But like this is something that like well, at least like a lot of atheists are assholes, but like something that they will ask to say when talking to creationists as we're pointing them, what do you base that on? And that's something we can ask to like people who are telling these jokes as we're, what do you base that on?
Yeah.
Something I can ask to liberals of why they believe in the things they believe. What do you base that on? It's like, does anyone see any like WWE or WF women wrestlers? I know for some they would like break us all at the same time with one arm. No women aren't inferior. Yeah,
I mean, those are phenomenal athletes. I mean, they don't get paid enough, and they need a union.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
because fuck Vince and Linda McMahon.
There have been a lot of sort of stories about segregation in sports where it turned out that sports are only segregated because of women. Sorry. What's it called? When a woman entered the competition and she won.
I mean, now chess needs to be segregated, the men's chess and women's chess, and all because of like a trans woman, as it were. It's like no, this is actually real.
That is just like the finest example of what transphobia is, because it's like it's chess. It has nothing to do with physical strength. Are you saying that?
Well, I mean, okay, look, there is science behind this. Women are smaller, so their heads are smaller, so their brains are smaller. I mean, that's pure, rational, real, absolute science. This is definitely.
Who has the laser pointed to distract John Buckner right now?
But it's just like, and especially coming from like supposed feminists. Like, that's so weird and sort of like, what are you even saying? It's just like what are you saying?
That because there's also something called white feminism too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That is like yeah.
So is that feminism worse than like regular feminism, or?
Oh, it's racist feminism, and it's privileged feminism. It's
Yeah, when people bring up that specifically, they're generally referring to
it's a non-intersectional feminism. It's basically second wave feminism. It's TERFs. They do address some issues that do need to be addressed, but they ignore various ways that other identities interact with femininity.
They're like girl boss feminism, where it's good to
Right. So like capitalist, like
Christina Soft Summers is a good example of like white feminists.
J.K. Rowling.
No, Jackass Karen Rowan.
definitely.
what about wait, what's her name? Wait, what geek?
Jackass Karen Rollins. That's what the J stands for. That's what the K stands for in my mind.
Karen Brolin.
Hey, little Osman in the Dark. Rice realist
man.
mentality with supposed feminism? Shock. Yes, exactly. That's definitely criticism you can have like for the earliest feminist movements.
Well, in the South, I know that white feminism was used. I mean, white feminism was used for like a lot of lynching justifications, like
Yeah.
a man
there was.
at a white woman, and you know. I mean, that's what my last video was about. Was the Rosewood Massacre and
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Yep.
I watched the Emmett Till movie on
Yeah.
Prime, and I couldn't get through it very far because it's a bit horrible.
And I feel like was used is a bit generous if you look into death sentences in southern states. I'm sure there's a preponderance of those that are done swiftly and those that are done quickly are with what do you call it, dark-skinned defendants and victims that are more likely to be white women.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
To Kill a Mockingbird, Birth of a Nation. So it's a common trope.
And it still exists today. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's something called missing white woman syndrome where
Oh, yeah.
people talk. There's like a like like now like for me like before Gabby Petito, it
Elizabeth
was
Smart.
art. It was what's her name? The girl who went down to Aruba. I don't remember. Natalie Holloway.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
We.
like that. Yeah. Okay. I'll stop.
No problem.
No, it's a valid critique.
Mhm.
Something that we absolutely need to keep working on.
I want to make a comedy since I'm a movie writer now. I want to
And you're holding that thing like a cigar, so like that. Well, I'm overwriting it now. I'm gonna have this like a great idea for this next movie coming up about this.
I want to make a comedy called Missing White Woman Syndrome.
They actually played on that in not Scream, the Scary Movie, the thing that was mocking the
Yes.
Scary Movie. Just she ran upstairs to get away from the bad guy, went on her computer, just typed "white woman in trouble," and the police were there in 5 seconds.
Yeah, that was a joke that movie had. The Wayne's brother wrote that movie as well.
I was going to
too.
say white chick. That's the closest thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, the Wayne's brothers also did that one too as well. But
I haven't seen that one, but I know that it does actually. I mean, I never thought much of the Wayans brothers, but apparently they're a lot smarter than I gave them credit for. Because I mean, that movie, yes, it was farcical, but it also had some sharp commentary, like the fact that the white girls are in the car with the Wayans brothers and said, "Wait, are we allowed to say that word? Why not? There's no one here."
Yeah.
And suddenly you have a bunch of white women.
And of course, they had to throw in like the black guy. Like, well, that would actually be me in this movie who likes that
with
I
chocolate.
walk 1,000 miles just to.
Oh yeah, that song. Yeah. Those two did not know that one as well. Yeah, I guess I should like watch White Chicks eventually. I know some of the jokes from like the trailers and commercials as it were, and like with Terry Crews also being there. Anyways,
I just kind of have to accept that that movie might not have been made for me. Well,
yeah.
like the what's his name, Tyler
Tyler
Perry, yeah. Medea and all that, and the barbershop movies, they're made with a different audience in mind, an audience that has different experiences and therefore will interact with the film differently.
Are you wait? Hold on. Are you saying that all black people like Barbershop? Because I watched it and I didn't like it at all. I thought it was like
It was made for a black audience. That doesn't mean that all black people will respond to it in the same way. No, you're correct.
Right. I watched it, but like I was like, okay, I don't get it, but whatever. It's not made for all black. That's the thing about.
I mean, I'm guessing you just don't participate in barbershop communities quite as much.
Well,
yeah, it certainly could be that.
I do go to a black barbershop near my house, but I just go to get my hair cut. I don't give a fuck about any of the other shit. They
Yeah, I got nothing out of Barbershop as far as, or very little out of it. But another movie, I think it was earlier though, that really hit me just growing up in a poorer neighborhood was Friday, which was probably.
I think
not
that
really
was made for a
movie,
more
but that
general
was
audience.
certainly- You think so? Probably.
I mean, a lot of white people loved it. So, or maybe it's just it had just enough of that broad humor, and it had enough of the broader themes that it was able to escape the ghetto, as it were.
Yeah, or the inner city. I don't know. There's something called the Warsaw Ghetto, but that was different.
Yeah, ghetto.
Well, I mean,
is a more general term these days. Used to just be the place where they put the Jews to keep them safe from the Christians, or to make it easier for the Christians to find them when they got angry. But it became a general term for segregated communities.
Yeah, because I watched some of those movies, like those black movies before, and I just never got the jokes. I never got the gist of it. I just was like, oh, I don't get this. And I guess that's probably where I have a bunch of like stories of how I knew I was autistic. It's kind of like the way like Chekhov from Star Trek has a lot of like Russian jokes. So like So for me, it's autism, and I guess when I didn't laugh whenever I heard the black woman like say ho 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 in regard, because it was
Mm.
'cause this was a black movie happening during Christmas, and
Mhm.
I got what she meant, and I got the context of the statement, but I didn't get like okay, I just didn't I didn't get it. I don't know.
Hmm.
It just reminded me of just how black I wasn't. But then, like you turn on, but then you flip to Con Air, and it's like, oh, I can understand this completely.
uh,
Oh god, Con Air was so cheap.
Nick Cage has a terrible
There's a
Southern
movie
accent.
I haven't thought about in a long time.
Move, or the buddy gets it.
I just like the scene where like they went to Las Vegas, and like the airport's literally right by the strip. They decided to crash into the strip instead.
That movie was so ridiculous in so many ways. And that was back when I couldn't fuck with movies like that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw The Rock a couple of days too. Oh my god!
Oh my god, that's another movie that only movie nerds would know exists. That's a word.
Because that movie fucking sucks.
You want to hear
Oh, I
some-
know Armageddon. Oh, I got. Hold on.
Let Ely talk while you get your thing. Yeah, Ely.
it was just that when I was a child, there was a travel agency that was called Con Air.
I'm guessing that a convict doesn't have the same.
No,
Airplane they use either.
it was just really
There is. Sorry, Ellie. I'm sorry.
it was just really funny when that movie came out, and I was like, what is this movie about? This it can't be about the travel agency that went down years ago. So it's like, but it was really funny.
Yeah. Alright, I said you have your hand up.
Sorry. There is actually something called Con Air, but it's not mentioned like that, and they don't use like a metal cargo plane. It's like a regular air. Yeah. Anyway, so like I do have guilty pleasure movies. This is actually one of my favorite.
Armageddon is such a stupid. He
Oh,
finds a guy having sex with his daughter, consensual sex, and like chases him around a fucking oil rig with a goddamn shotgun.
Although this movie is probably dumber. 'Cause I saw
I have not heard of that. Oh Jesus Christ!
I
If the
thought-
moon hit the Earth, we would all be dead, no question.
Yeah. Well, and spoilers if you give a shit, but in the movie, the moon was actually made by ancient humans a billion years ago. That's how
Oh
dumb.
Jesus Christ!
That's true.
So compared to this is a fucking documentary.
Oh, my goodness.
Yet, okay, so like back when I listened to Star Talk, he had like this like astrophysicist, not the Neil deGrasse Tyson, but his guest, who like criticized this movie for its scientific inaccuracies. There are so many in Armageddon, but one thing also that like they got wrong that like they could easily exaggerate it, but they didn't. It's just like at the beginning where they said like a meteor hit it and like destroyed all downstairs with thousands tons of like force and something like that. Thousands? Just thousands? No. Billions of tons. Billions of tons. You could exaggerate that point, but yet you undervalue that? Great. I guess thousands?
They chose a number that sounded big, and they were like, "Oh, it must be this big. Here we go."
It's like they had a science advisor for Armageddon, and clearly they just ignored his shit half the time. But sometimes they get it right. It's such a weird thing.
Although,
Did Michael Bay do Armageddon?
Yes.
Okay, I
will
thought so.
say- I will say because I did watch Armageddon a bit stoned. You do look at some details, in under more scrutiny than when you're not. And there was a scene where like he was like before like Bruce Willis was about to leave on the mission where he was like kissing like his daughter, and there's that they were at the Apollo 1 memorial and there's like helicopters flying over. It's like this movie is so fucking over the top.
Yeah.
It's-
That's a... Yo, you go ahead, Joe.
It's so weird watching old Michael Bay movies because there's like, it's so stupid and everything is so over the top, but there's just these moments where it's like, oh, that is that is beautiful. Like
Yeah.
the thing he just put on screen is gorgeous.
He's good at visual imagery and nothing
why
else.
Do you have, like, why?
Anyone see Pearl Harbor?
No.
No, I knew that was going to be like a terrible movie. I avoided that. Haven't seen it. If you want to see Pearl Harbor, no, see the far better like older movie, Tor.
Yeah. Funny enough, in Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, he actually had ships that weren't even built during the time when the attack happened.
There was inaccuracies in that movie? I am shocked.
There was like guided missiles from like the 80s that they had. It's like
Was it Michael Bay who did Inception?
No, that's
a
Christian.
good movie.
That's Chris
Chris
Norton.
Yeah.
No,
Christopher
Nolan.
Nolan.
I don't know. I think it contradicted its own logic sometimes.
True, yeah. I mean, yeah. Christopher Nolan's usually good at that. Like, if you pay attention to like the Prestige, which the Prestige is just like Wolverine versus Batman, first of all, with David Bowie as Nikola Tesla. There you go. But then it's just like it's or Memento. That's a good one. No, Memento. I think I can like follow that along all the way, even though it's like
I have not seen that one, but
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Even though it's like I know that like there are some scenes that are shown in order, but like most of the majority of scenes are shown backwards, as it were. So it's actually a challenge if you want to like watch the movie in chronological order. Hey, TVs, how you doing? But Osman Doc has a good point, as it were, too. A conversational argument, as it were, or a controversial argument. But yeah, I agree with Osman Doc. We should not feel guilty for anything we derive pressure from, unless we somehow are hurting people.
I mean, when you say bad, poorly made, poorly scripted, flawed, they're just made as then they're just not a well-made movie. If there's something wrong with it from a technical or production or writing standpoint, I absolutely agree. But if you're talking bad morally, if you enjoy Birth of a Nation, go fuck yourself.
Agreed there, yeah. But for Armageddon, Moonfall, Deep Impact, The Day After Tomorrow.
I mean, I think you should be careful with Michael Bay movies because they're so goddamn misogynistic.
That's true, but like
they're not Birth of a Nation, but they're not. Okay, like.
But he's not unique in that regard.
No, he's not. He's just kind of over the top with it in the way that he is with everything else.
Yes.
Like the opening of The Rock, Ed Harris is shown mourning at his wife's grave, and the marker just says nothing else. All it says is his wife. It doesn't even have her fucking name.
That's just like in Lost in Space, where it's just like William Hurt just says, "I love you, wife. You do not have a name. You do not. I only know you as like the family member that you serve in our family unit. Wife, I love you, wife." As well.
I mean, that is a valid screenwriting technique to establish relationships. People can and do refer to their loved ones by their relationship. When Caleb walks in the door at the end of the day, I say, "Hey, brother," just as a way to say hello. I mean, that is something, and it happens, but you can get stupid with it.
Yeah. But I think so. People, we always used to like say, going to guilty pleasure. Let's change the word guilty pleasure into great trash. Just like
yes.
Just know. It's not like a exceptional movie. It wouldn't win Oscars because, like, honestly, movies that win
enjoyable
Oscars
trash is a thing.
Yes,
right,
exactly.
Like the Librarian movies. Don't know if anyone remembers those, starring Noah Wiley. They were made-for-TV movies, and they were ridiculous, and I loved them.
Did Bob Newhart did some kung fu in those movies?
I don't know about kung fu. I think he did swordplay. It's been so long. But, I mean, there's a reason they had multiples of those movies and then made a TV show out of it. It's just wonderful trash.
Okay, Ellie, you got a chance now.
My favorite trashy movie of all time is the only Danish monster movie that ever came out of the 60s. It's so bad, but it's so funny. And the special effects are so bad. But it's like... But the funniest thing, the most surreal thing about this movie is that we had a very sort of famous comedic actor, and studios always try to shoehorn him into movies to make the movie more popular. So in this monster movie, he has a scene where he's dancing around with some children, singing about the monster, and it's the funniest thing ever because it's such a non sequitur in that movie. And
On
it's
TV tropes, they call that a big-lipped alligator moment.
yeah.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, here's a big-lipped alligator singing a song, completely unrelated to anything else.
Yeah. It's called Reptilicus. If anyone has heard about that movie, it's so. It's if you ever get the chance to see it, you should see it. But it's not good. But
I kind of view Burn Notice that way.
Oh, Burn Notice. Burn Notice is great trash.
Yeah, it's not on the same level of trash as The Librarian, but I mean it is just unabashedly adventure porn. I mean the establishing shots to show we're in Miami is just bikini-clad asses.
My personal favorite of that sort of thing is, I haven't seen the sequel yet, but the Meg.
Oh yeah!
Like every single time they have a choice to make, they decide to make the stupid choice.
Yes, they did.
You said the Meg?
Yeah.
The Meg,
What
yes.
what here would make the least sense, and they do that almost every time, and it's
It's a mega shark. Oh my god.
It's oh my goodness, that movie is gloriously stupid.
I mean, think about that. What's okay, no, I was about to think, I was like, wait a minute, what great and awesome movies did Jason Statham star in? No, wait, he was in, the Guy Ritchie movies that Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. That's a good movie.
He was in Trainspotting. Not Trainspotting. The Transporter. Transporter is such wonderful trash.
I agree, absolutely. All three of them.
Both of the Crank movies are
Yes.
wonderful.
Oh yes. I mean,
Crank movies are legitimate video game movies.
Like, he is legitimately, he has made a career making,
I mean, he is a major act. He was born in the wrong decade. He should have been in 1981 when they would have taken this seriously. But I mean, the fact is, he's making these movies in the 2000s, and they don't take him seriously, and they're still wonderful. Like in Crank, at the end, he picks up his hand, and then like a gun, and he pulls the trigger, quote unquote. The hammer drops, and the guy gets shot. And for a second, you legitimately believe that he might have actually been able to do that.
yeah, there was also another movie. I don't know what it's called, but the premise was so stupid. It was about this alien race where all of them were generically male, but they didn't have any genitalia.
Oh.
So
Wait a minute.
so one of them is sent to Earth to
I know which one you're talking about. It had John Goodman in it.
And it like a Gary Sherlin or something.
It had what's his name? Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, and then when he became aroused, the penis started to make a noise.
What planet are you from?
Yes, that's the movie.
Yeah, that was also glorious trash. But
Oh, Ben Kingsley. He does a great work, and then sometimes he is in Bloodbrain, as it were. Okay, have I seen any movie by Uwe Ball?
Annette Bening was in that. How did they get these people? That's this is a movie about an alien with a vibrating penis. You get Annette Bening and Ben Kingsley and John Goodman. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so hey, sometimes.
I mean, Greg Kinnear, I can understand how they got him.
I mean, depending.
I'm sorry, Greg. I know you watch.
Some actors do actually don't take themselves too seriously, something like that, and some just like Stephen Baldwin. He went from The Usual Suspect, which it's still a good movie, might be slightly overrated, or at least the director Bryan Singer is overrated as it were. But Stephen Baldwin went from The Usual Suspects all the way to Biodome. because he never cared about his career. So respect.
And now he's making bad Christian movies, and he looks
yes,
like
right.
he is taking advantage of all of the pastries or crafty. He just doesn't give a fuck.
Well, I'm not going to body shame someone for their eating habits and that sort of thing too. But that's right. He's an born again Christian. He is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Alec will take care of me. It's okay. Alec will take care of me.
Yes. Yeah, I think the general problem I have there is no objective good. And everyone goes to movies for different reasons and have emotional connections for different things. Well, yes, exactly, because there's some people on YouTube that make a movie critiques as it were, and they think that you can factually. Hello, Metro. How you doing?
Metro.
You can factually and objectively say what is a good movie, a bad movie, so and such and such. But
a lot of stylistic choices are just stylistic choices. Bollywood movies are going to be very, very different because they come from a very different culture. You can talk about technical failures, like when a boom mic is in the shot or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, but the style of the way the thing is made, the choices they make for the story, that's harder to critique. I think you can make technical statements about writing too, plot holes and things, but
well, not only plot holes, just legitimately making narratively unsatisfying decisions or narratively cowardly decisions.
Oh yeah, or there are times you can probably treat the audience like not smart in any way. It's Daniel Olson's video essay on the first Suicide Squad, not the James Gunn one, but the first one is where it's just no, you've done all this visual imagery, selling the glowing heart in the Enchantress, as it were. We all know what happens when something is stabbed through that heart or something like that, but then still that movie had to have the Flagstaff army soldier guy say, she's been stabbed in the heart now, we can end this right now. It's why do you have to tell us this?
Yep.
Why do you have to tell us this? But even if you take those standards that you have applied as said that this is what makes a good movie, applying that critique to a movie is still subjective, as it were, too, as well.
Zack Snyder objectively makes visually stunning films.
Yes.
But I do not understand that man's choices.
As Zack Snyder said, the reason why he queer-baited or queer-coded Xerxes in 300 is because he was making movies for him when he was teenage boy, so when that in high school, and to Zack Snyder, as a high school boy, a big tall man. And I don't know if he happened to be dark skinned or not as well. Coming up is
he was Arab coded, I think.
Yeah, well, in Xerxes, as it were, yes, he was definitely.
Even though he should have been Persian, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Because literally he was Persian.
Yes, exactly. But to Zack Snyder, if he was in teenagers and a man was coming up to him saying, "Hey, how you doing?" as we're implying that's the scariest thing to Zack Snyder, which is just say, sorry, I'm straight, don't swing that way, and then there you go. But apparently be a big man coming up and offering butt sex, as it were, or gay sex, as it were, is scary to Zack Snyder, which is why 300 and a lot of Zack Snyder stuff is has some fascist tendencies, as it were, and that's what I don't like about the Zack Snyder's films.
Watchmen 300, Big Joel, I think it was, just straight up said, "This is Nazi propaganda."
Yeah, I agree.
And the fetishization of the quote-unquote ideal masculine body is a big part of fascist imagery, and that leads, of course, to the homoeroticism that draws in and confuses people who think that, oh, they're Nazis, therefore they hate gay people, so if they have, what's his name, Milo Yiannopoulos, they can't be fascists.
Yeah.
What do you call it, for Zack Snyder, even in The Watchmen, one of the things that didn't work for me is unlike the comics, it clearly seemed to think that that
Rorschach
was the hero, and he was right, which is which is not great because, like, he was legitimately supposed to be a fascist. Like, like not even like he sent his
he literal black
in the
and white
event of his
ideology.
death- in the event of his death, he sent his notebook to like
A far right wing racist piece of shit. Yeah. Also, there was a connection, I think, with the pirate comics, the comic within the comic. At one point, the sailor on his journey across the ocean on the raft, he's attacked by a shark. It's just a mindless predator, right? And he manages to kill it, and then he has to eat it. And later on, the editor is talking on the phone. He's having trouble hearing, and he talks about raw shark. Raw shark? What are you talking about? So I think that Moore was trying to draw that connection, that Rorschach was a mindless predator, just moving forward, attacking whatever was in front of him. That he's not supposed to be the hero, absolutely not. And and just like the shark, he ended up having to die because he attacked and wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, Mr.
yeah.
Holly,
Am I audible, by the way?
Yes, you are.
You are now audible.
Fine, that's fine.
Yay!
Rorschach is an incredibly dangerous thing to eat anyway.
Well, he was starving.
Oh yeah, okay. For all the obvious.
I mean, he was also drinking salt water, so
Oh, jeez.
he was making all sorts of choices that were long-term bad to survive in the short term.
There are some sort of chemical. I can't remember which one it is in the flesh of. It's stored in the flesh of sharks.
Are you thinking of vitamin A?
Oh, it's urea.
Yeah, probably.
They pee through their skin.
Well, all fish eject urea through their gills. I know that. I don't know about sharks.
Yeah.
A lot of it doesn't smell very good, I have heard.
Yeah. Just one thing I want to also mention before we move on about like 300, also why the fascist tendencies, the eugenicists in that movie as well too, and also like how there was like the disabled person as it were that like wanted to fight with the 300, but like just because like he couldn't lift his shield up like high enough as it were. Main character, I forgot his name. Who cares?
Leonidas.
Leonidas, as it were, said, "Nope, you can't fight with us as were too." And then, but then that disabled person pulled a Benedict Arnold as it were because he got kicked out as it were and joined the bad guys because of that. So yeah,
I mean,
and also,
if the Spartans had fought the way Spartans actually fought, then that would have been valid because you have to lock the shield wall, and yet that means being able to lift your shield up at the same height as everyone else. Because the phalanx is all about being just this solid mass, of hundreds of men. Instead, though, the Spartans were fighting not like Spartans. they were fighting like Germans.
Isn't the whole Sparta thing like kind of
mythologized?
Historically dubious at best?
Somewhat. I mean, if you're just talking about that one battle, yes, because they weren't alone. They had supporting armies. But if you're talking about Sparta in general, no, they deserved their reputation. They were infamously very, very disciplined soldiers. To give the one example I remember from the class I took on ancient warfare, there was a tendency in ancient Greek combat for the two armies to sort of slip past each other, with each one sidling to the left, or maybe to the right.
If only.
Because you want to protect yourself, so that means you're constantly shoving over to get behind the shield of the guy next to you, because they carry big round shields that your shield covers half your body and half your body is covered by your neighbor's shield. So everybody's constantly shrugging to the right to better hide behind their guy's shield, and so the armies kind of slip past each other, and this means that you can get flanked. It's like, oh shit, suddenly this army can wrap around and expose. So the Spartans were able, in the middle of battle, to break off their right flank, have it come around behind, and hook up on the other side in order to give themselves the advantage there. Which was, I mean, as you can imagine, in the chaos of battle, that's a very difficult thing. And so they did deserve the reputation as disciplined and amazing fighters within the context of ancient Greece. But they weren't as legendary as the Battle of Thermopylae suggests.
Yeah.
There's also like, I don't know how true this is of the.
Yes, the white guy knows about war. Sorry.
Somehow I'm not surprised by that. Honestly.
I'm just a regular Joe with a regular job. I'm your
No, that's a
average
regular
white
Joe. You're a regular
suburbanite
John.
slob. I like football and porno and books about war. Got an average house with a nice hardwood
Give me a
floor.
minute. A moment.
That was Dennis Leary, not the
Yeah.
best guy, but I think he's matured into a decent actor. Anyway,
Actor,
sorry, you had something to say.
What was I about to say? I forgot. So we
Spartans
mentioned-
not as legendary. 300.
No. I believe it was mentioned in 300 as well, where it's just like, they kind of like send their boys off to the woods to like die essentially, but if they survive and come back, then like they become great warriors, or how they would toss like undesirable babies into like wells, something like that.
They were doing eugenics.
That's what I wanted to mention.
And then
yeah,
not
that's all.
necessarily into wells because you don't want to poison your well water, but off cliffs they would
Oh,
leave
sure.
they would leave infants to be exposed, and they would send young men out to hunt. Specifically, they're supposed to come back with a wolf's pelt, I believe it was.
Yeah, which was shown in the movie. Yeah, it is. But yeah, there's a lot of great trash. I mean, I watch anime. That's very pulpy as well too.
You can go either way with anime. You can have amazing things. Hayazaki.
Hayao Miyazaki, as it were.
Yeah, there
Ichiro Takahata, Satoshi Kon, Mamoru Hasada, as it were. And so yeah, no, there are some great art in like anime, but then there's also
There's
like,
also Project Echo and Vampire Hunter D. Right?
no, I like Vampire Hunter D, but yes, like that one is like just
Police.
Tank Police. Oh my god, have I seen Tank Police? No, I haven't. I mean,
And there's also the really well-made stuff that has controversial for other reasons, similar to Zack Snyder, because like the Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan with the fascist propaganda. Yeah, exactly. But you have to go deep into that to like realize the fascist propaganda. Once it's like, wait a minute. And if you don't know about that trope of like the special Jews, something like that, and how the Eldians are like in Attack on Titan.
Oh, I enjoy Vampire Hunter D. I just don't think it's great.
Vampire D is just the first one. Very weird. I had to rewatch it because, like, yeah, my friend like watched it before and was wanted to rent the movie again back when you were able to rent movies like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, but she usually didn't know the movie. It's like, it's a movie where it's like there's a face.
He's got a haunted hand.
And he was eating dirt and something like that. Oh, that's Vampire D. Yes, I want to watch that movie again. It's like, okay, it's over here. So it's like, but Vampire D Bloodlust. That goes into great trash of like just action-oriented movies. Who cares about like plot or anything like that, or even characters? Like, because oh man, I used to know his like name. He did Ninja Scroll, Demon City Shinjuku, Wicked City. That's a movie, and like
That sure is a movie.
It's critically reviewed.
He also did like either second or third good Highlander movie.
Are you talking about the director or the writer?
Yeah, the director.
Yoshiaki Kawajiri?
Yeah, Yoshiaki Kawajiri.
Oh, he also wrote
yeah,
Ninja Scroll. Okay.
Yeah, he also wrote Ninja Scroll. Yeah, he does two things well: character designs, and because they're striking and very unique to like his style, and action. So you have him do just those two things, like with Ninja Scroll and like Highlander: Search for Vengeance. Then you have a solid action film, as it were, too. Weirdly enough, also he worked at Studio Madhouse for a long time, and on the Unico movies, like Unico Island Magic for sure, he was the storyboard artist. So when you know that he worked on like Unico as a storyboard artist, that can explain the nightmare fuel that movie had that was for kids.
He did the storyboard for Wolverine and X-Men and Blade. Yeah, that's a lot of yeah, I can get it.
Dude.
I'm not a huge anime fan, but
A lot of it's trash.
Well, I got two favourites. One is very old, called Claymore.
I
Yeah,
don't think I
it's
know
mostly
Claymore.
Claymore's
Yeah.
really good actually, and it's not very problematic to be honest. Except the guy they got to voice the young male, one of the young males, sort of, who is our point of, the audience's POV.
The viewpoint character.
Has a most atrociously irritating voice. And the other one is a thing called Natsume Yujin Chao, which is Natsume's Book of Friends, which is, it's sort of slice of life meets sort of fairly gentle magic, and it's quite pleasant. It's quite entertaining but easy going to watch, and definitely worth. The art style's superb. It's beautiful. It's water. It's a lot. It seems to be watercolor based art, and it's really.
And
nice.
now we know that Mithril has a thing for Bishy boys. That's that means Bishonen. That means men who they're very androgynous and beautiful.
There's a lot of that in anime, honestly. And yeah, anime is very pulpy mediums of like there's gonna be a lot of trash, and that's an interesting things also with this kind of like genres as it were, and something where it's like in what's like objectively good in certain genres is where you kind of like the community or people fans of those like things have like certain like set things of like, oh listen, it's a monster movie. I want to see the monster like soon enough. I don't want to like spend watching this movie for 45 minutes and then finally the monster shows up as it were too, or like trashy romance novels as were. There's like almost like a formula for trashy romance novels. Like this is where they're going to be on the windswept mountains and for the final kiss and all this and this has happened and this happened and this happened.
Oh yeah, Harlequin romances had an actual formula that you had to fill out. There was a literature professor, a woman who, once she got tenure, she revealed that she'd been writing romance novels for years and considered them a beautiful form of art. But Isaiah, you have your hand up.
Because we're talking about movies and campy movies, what do you guys want my Moth movie to be like? I'm just asking for, I guess, opinions.
Well, okay, so like I just mentioned, monster movies kind of be like that. It's like or it's like like a bit of campiness or like a cheesiness as were. I'm not going to expect like great art if I'm going to see a movie about killer moths or something like that. Like something like Eight-Legged Freaks might be like a good inspiration as were.
Man.
You could do a genuine horror movie. I mean, are you talking about one big moth, or are you talking about lots of small killer moths? Because
so basically, the moths swarm people. And
okay, so I mean, yeah, you could do a slow build burn on that one. Just have a small population of moths, and then thanks to the mathematics of reproduction, suddenly you have a huge swarm of moths, and that could actually work.
But what happens? So what happens in the story is there's a train that's carrying chemical weapons to be dismantled, crashes in the woods, and the moths.
Oh, don't set it in Ohio.
No, it's going to be Florida. It's going to be in Florida, North Florida. Where
Have it happen to Tallahassee. Do it to Tallahassee.
Yeah. Well, it happens like 40 miles away.
Go ahead and kill in your movie. Literally, I'm saying do this in the movie. Have the Ron DeSantis XP get killed first thing.
Oh yeah.
He goes and he offers bullshit thoughts and prayers, and he gets swarmed and killed by moths.
Well, actually, the movie actually takes place in 1992. Actually.
Okay.
Oh, Ron DeSantis.
I mean, he
about
was
8.
alive then.
It's fine.
Yeah,
You can still put a Ron DeSantis XP in there. It doesn't have to literally be Ron DeSantis.
He could be just back from organizing the torture camps and.
yeah. At Guantanamo.
Wait, no,
yes.
that was after that, I think.
Maybe.
1992, he's going to be bragging about winning the Cold War, and then suddenly a swarm of moths come in and make a diaper and give him a sex change that he didn't want.
Sonderantis.
Yeah,
It could be Bob something.
But again, the person's gender does not make them their gender that they are, as it were, too. But then
Exactly.
having
But still,
found
it's a
the
sex
person's gender
reassignment surgery.
Yes.
You want to force people not to get it? We're going to force you to get one. That we
movie's
wouldn't
gonna
actually do that.
be called Mosquito that came out in 1995. I don't know if anyone ever saw that.
There's also the movie Evolution, I think, talking
Oh,
about trash.
yeah.
That one was not wonderful trash. That was just stupid.
No. Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I'm just glad that like
The one with Dave Duchovny in it.
Yep.
Yes, Dave Duchovny, Orlando Jones, Sean William Scott, as it were.
And I remember a
Veronica-
red-haired woman.
I forgot their name, honestly, but like
Renee?
My guilty film pleasure is still Electra, and
Oh,
I know
oh.
just how bad that is.
What
What movie is that?
Electra.
The spin-off to the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, when you make a spin-off of that Daredevil movie, you know it's not going to be great.
It wasn't great, but I mean, Jennifer Warner at the time. Oh,
Jennifer Garner. Yeah.
Jennifer Garner, yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mentioned Ninja Scroll from Yoshihiro Karajuri. Think about like Electra. I think Electra fought all of the same ninjas that were in Ninja Scroll in Electra somehow.
Was Electra supposed to be the answer to like Underworld with Kate Beckinsale? I'm trying to.
Yeah.
All right.
And,
She came back from the dead, so pretty much. I still haven't seen the Catwoman movie with Halle Berry, which is supposed to be more trash.
I saw that in the cinema when it came out. It was trash.
It's not nearly as fun as Elektra. Elektra, it like feels like they're trying. There is so much not effort on the screen in Catwoman.
And the special effects was so bad. It's like and not bad in a good way, because I like crappy special effects, but I like sort of pre-computer bad special effects. I mean, I like sort of like old episodes of Doctor Who special effects.
Yes.
Kit bashing.
The scenery shaking. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to see the zipper on the guy's rubber suit, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And the bad guys are just wearing cardboard boxes. I mean, we are Cybermen.
We had 162 lines at the time.
Yeah. You couldn't see it anyway.
No.
Or like just a big laser burning through the entire screen to sort of signal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's been a massive DVD release of the cleaned up and $6 Million Man and $6 Million Woman shows.
They tried to redo Bionic Woman once upon a time, and that didn't go well.
Yes. Yeah, no, it crashed and burned, didn't it? But wherever it is, I can't remember. I've got something
I loved the Buffy movie.
No, the movie, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the show is pretty amazing. They struggled with their budget, but it was pretty goddamn amazing. The movie was beautiful trash.
The principal's like, I have detention duties. Slips to sign out.
Detention on corpses.
Corpses.
I mean, you have Donald Sutherland. You have
He was in the movie.
Rutger Hauer. I mean, what the fuck?
Oh, the 5-minute Paul Rubens death scene.
Yes. I can do anything you can do, only better. Oh yeah, clap.
There you go. Mark Wahlberg is talking about rebooting the $6 Million Man.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg.
And in Israel, they changed the title from the $6 Million Man to the Man Worth Millions because they thought the 6 million part of the title would stoke memories of the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Oh,
You'll have
actually-
Nazis keeping that shit alive with their 6
Yeah.
MWE shirts. 6 million wasn't enough, according to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I totally get that. But I
Yeah.
want to remind people that although they did kill half the Jews in the world, the Jews were only half of the people they killed in those camps.
True.
Yep.
And there were also eugenics, there was also political prisoners, and they also specifically targeted queer and trans folk.
And
also,
disabled folk too.
also
And-
communists.
Like I said,
Yep.
political and
and the
eugenics.
Romani.
Yep, and the
Mhm.
Romani,
Yep.
yeah.
I think we're
Well,
black.
the people are still being targeted in
Mhm.
Yeah.
Europe. Sad to say.
Yep.
Mm.
Maybe not in concentration camps anymore, but there are definite attempts to destroy their culture.
Mhm.
I never
Still,
thought that people
still
here-
going on now.
Are the travelers in Britain, are they Romani or is
Oof. It's kind of some are. There's also a lot of Irish travelling folk who are called travellers as well.
Okay.
you-
So,
you-
I can see how that, getting forced off your land, that could lead to. Is that
Mhm,
how
yeah.
far it goes back, or is it older?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
You have to be very careful when you're talking about travel folk in the UK because there are still Roma, but there is an awful lot of Irish traveller stock who tend to, I'm afraid to say, they do tend to play on. We're travellers, we're persecuted. Yeah, well, you know what? If I hadn't just helped you load a stolen bike into the back of the fucking taxi, I might be a little more sympathetic.
I never understood why people hated the Romy.
Yeah.
Ethnic bullshit.
It's
Yeah.
hard with that. It's also, if I'm right, I seem to remember there is.
I think there's a religious connection.
Yeah, it's got links to the Wandering Jew thing as well.
Although I think the
Uh,
Roma are actually Coptic Christians.
Maybe, yeah.
I would be surprised if they have a singular religion.
Yeah, they seem to come from, as far as we can tell, they seem to come from the Indian subcontinent somewhere. But
Yeah, they're an Indo-Aryan group, which means that they were from.
yeah,
Sounds like they came from a spread between India and Persia.
yeah. So,
But I mean, it's like with nearly any marginalized group, the reason for the hate is that they're another. Thus,
yeah.
Thus, the powerful can use them as a scapegoat to, hurt
mean-
everyone and make, some people kick down instead of punch up.
I
And
would
their
say-
lifestyle lends itself to isolation and thus misunderstanding. Because although
yeah.
they're everywhere, they're kind of nowhere, and they're always outside. So,
It's also, I mean, true Roma tend to have a very different view of possessions in that if you're using it, you don't need it, so it's okay for me to have it. But they tend to keep that within their own people. But, of course, that attacks one of the fundamentals of capitalism,
Yep.
for want of a better word.
yeah, if you don't own land
about
and you don't hold
ownership.
down jobs, that's a very anti-capitalist lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Although I want to stress that doesn't necessarily make them leftist.
Yeah.
oh God,
The pharaoh was not a capitalist. The pharaoh was not a leftist. Right.
no.
And also another stereotype: there could be romance between one of the Roma and the person, and then the local person leaves with the Roma, and that gives you the kidnapping bullshit.
There are an awful lot of old English folk songs about gypsies stealing the women away from the local, and there you could look at and there are hundreds of the bloody things, It goes back a hell of a long way in the UK, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you know, how much?
even in the 1950s, lots of Roma came to take part in fruit picking and stuff like that around various agricultural parts of the country. So that was a thing. So,
And you got to imagine how much of that, you know, was
hey, Lucy.
was daughters that didn't, you know, want to be married off to other people, or
they were
abused
escaping
wives that
someone
had a-
they very
had a
much didn't
chance
like.
to get, yeah, exactly. Like how much of that was like, oh, these people are willing to take in refugees, and they're leaving away from my abuser.
Yeah.
Most Romani are Christian, many are faithful Muslims. Some retain the ancient faith of Hinduism from their homeland of India.
Oh.
There's also some Theravada Buddhism. And they practice witchcraft and palmistry, some of them.
There you go. So again, it's like a mix of like things like with most other people, but also it's like the stealing away of the people is where again like it goes back to like the trope of like a birth in a nation and all those other things, and like the white feminists attacking like black men as war as the predators and that sort of thing too, and also like the how the colonizers when they came to Turtle Island. I said we got to rescue our like stolen children from the indigenous people. It's like no, they just ran away.
Yeah,
They just,
it also I mean, if you go further back, those sort of stories about them stealing kids in particular also goes back to the traditional legends about the
Blood libel.
About the fairies. No, about the fairies.
Okay. You're talking.
Wow.
There are lots and lots of myths about. That's where the old changeling thing comes from.
Although I think some of that might be related to just spitballing here. I don't know shit about shit. Postpartum depression. The mother having trouble connecting with the child.
Yeah, but disability, because they actually call mentally disabled people changelings.
Oh, didn't know that.
I didn't. That's interesting.
Oh.
Sorry. Who are these people?
Folklore is one of my little pet things.
Changelings, you know, it's the idea that the fairies come in and switch out your baby for one of theirs, you know, a cuckoo kind of thing. And
I thought of Deep Space Nine for a minute.
Yeah, but it is also, it could also, I don't know where the myths come from. In my country, it's the underground people who are not fairies, but just the underground people.
Yeah, well, in the UK, Ely, it's very much the same sort of thing, you know, because our fairy folk were seen as being driven underground by the arrival of Christianity. So yeah. Very much.
So are we talking like dwarves, gnomes, elves, or is it just a general term, the people who live underground?
Yeah, they're kind of elvish, but in my country's tradition, elves are they're very beautiful women who dance, but they have a hole in their back, and if you look at the hole in their back, you will be spellbound, and you will be taken down into down on the ground.
So they have such a great ass.
No.
Sorry.
They have a hole in the back. I don't know how quite they have a hole in the back, but they're supposed to have a hole in the back, and if you stare at it, you will be taken on the ground.
That is such fun imagery that I am really surprised I haven't seen in a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's Guillermo del Toro shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's kind of awesome.
It's yet then the David Cronenberg hasn't like done that yet, as or he does such like a interesting body horror that look.
He did Videodrome, got a hole in the chest. It's a VHS player. There's a body horror show. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. A woman wants to get revenge on a guy who stole her film, and she goes to a witch and ends up with a hole in her side that cats come out of.
Yeah. It reminds me of the holes from Bleach. I haven't seen Bleach as it were, because I know it goes on for like over 400 episodes, and it's good when it's following the manga. But then when they do the filler arcs as it were.
Okay, I'm glad I did not do this Google search on screen because I'm remembering the line from the podcast. He's fisting the cat hole. Because the girl who ends up with the hole in her side that cats come out of, it turns into be very erogenous, and the guy fists the hole. So I'm going to leave that.
He's about to get his door kicked in by some heavy duty police officer.
This shows us how long we have gone on. We're past the 90 minutes mark on the show, so like that. We're just
We heard about it on Philosophers in Space. They were talking about the Cronenbergian horror of fisting the cat hole. Brand new cherry flavor is the name of the show. Girl gets revenge, goes to a witch, and experiences body horror in return. And who knows what the fuck the title has to do with the show? Brand new cherry flavor.
Oh my goodness.
I probably don't want to know, to be honest.
It's if you like Cronenberg, you'll like the show. If you don't, you want to stay away.
I need to watch the Cronenberg's The Fly, honestly, and the other movies. The only one I've seen actually is A History of Violence. That was a movie. That's
the one I've seen. I don't really care to watch the others. There's nothing appealing to me about that kind of gross body horror. I thought A History of Violence was amazing, but that was just straight up violence body horror rather than the weird twisting of humanity and this anti-technology thing he has going.
Yeah.
Didn't he do Crash?
Crash?
Yeah, a film about...
I don't think that was Cronenberg.
Crash was the
Another
movie
movie
about
called
white
Crash.
people solving racism. There was a car crash movie.
No, it was different. Maybe
No.
wasn't
That
called
1996. There's a 1996 Crash. It was a thriller. That one is directed by David Cronenberg with James
Yep.
Spader.
There you go. God, I'm not just getting on senile, forgetful.
I mean, you are, but
Yeah, true.
But also there are movies with the same title, which is
Yes.
Yep. There we go. I was right. That's the movie about people who have sex while crashing cars.
Yes.
Can I just correct my statement from earlier?
Sure.
It's like the elves dance and they seduce people,
Mhm.
but it see the hole in the back, then you know that it's not real
A
women.
real person. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see. So you check everyone's backs, as it were. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so you have to check that they don't look like a rotten tree from the back. Yeah, so. But
There you go. So that's a useful advice if you wanted like a spot some elves and somewhere like that too. It's not just like the eels that they have.
It's like, hey, could you go ahead and show me your back? I want to see if you look like a tree stump.
yeah,
You can see where Hidetaka Miyazaki gets a lot of good inspiration.
oh my goodness.
And now that sounds less like Guillermo del Toro and more like Cronenberg. If from behind
Yeah,
they look like rotten mush or something.
pretty some. Yeah.
She's a 10, but she's got the backside of a rotten tree.
That's it. Let's end the show on that statement. That should be a title for next time.
Did they ever show Barbie from behind in the Barbie movie? Having asked.
Talk about her. Someone's ass being grass.
I finally
Talk
got a
about
chance
roast
to
beef.
see it, and I finally got a chance to see the Barbie movie, and I would highly recommend that to everyone.
I'm actually going to see it in a couple weeks. I can't. wait.
Is it feminist, or is it girl boss feminist, or is it white feminist?
Oh, sorry about that. The context wrench. As someone with like a L5 surgery scars, I'm offended.
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Wait, what?
L5 refers to the fifth
Lower-
lumbar vertebrae.
Lumbar,
So
yeah.
lower
it's on
back
your
surgery.
back.
So lower
It
back
would just
surgery.
be-
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it definitely has pieces of that, and there's a couple of bits that I definitely think they could have done better, but it's genuinely like I was surprised by how good it was, both in how funny it was and like how emotionally resonant it was.
I see. Well,
Yeah,
that's for
A couple weeks, so I'm looking forward to it.
there
And
you go.
did the presence of a trans woman turn you trans?
I mean, no.
Okay, context versus kidding, but it hurts like a bitch. I can imagine as we're.
I
It
can
is-
imagine, yeah.
It's basic introduction to feminism, but it's like liberal. So maybe white feminism. Yeah. Well, are there black Barbies as it were? And like
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
Barbies, but
Yeah.
But Barbie has always had a complicated history with feminism, because
Yeah.
she does own a lot of stuff. She's never actually married to Ken. She owns this stuff in her own right, and she is a girl boss, and she's doing all the jobs. But at the same time, Margot Robbie is actually almost not quite alien beautiful elf enough to be able to pull off the actual physique of Barbie.
Yeah, and there's like
Physique.
bits where it like addresses a lot of those things, and it's like, oh, like there's definitely moments where it could have went further, but it's
At the same time,
Like,
it would be
yeah.
not as good a movie if it just stops and gives a 15-minute lecture on intersectional feminism, you know.
Well, true, yeah. Like that's where you're being didactic. Like Kevin Smith is always like wants to just whip a bit of message at the audience as he's watching, but mostly entertaining. And as the movie Dogma was dangerously close to being didactic of just standing on a soapbox, this, that. But every so
Chasing
often,
Amy, he literally steps in and gives a 5-minute lecture on how to move past a relationship.
based on like what he didn't do as it were too, because like he was just like hung up on like someone having sexual experiences that he didn't have as it were too. Yeah, he chased
White male
away Amy.
insecurity.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah,
and just
exactly.
masculine insecurity, let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not about the sex or the gender, it's the social parts. It's the masculine insecurity.
Yes, and of course, so by the course,
That's a valuable message, but there's ways to deliver it, you know. And again,
And of course-
this is subjective.
right? And then also like it's like that's what's the closest thing to real life you have. But then it's like it's a movie, you have to entertain people. So he would like to introduce something like a conclusion to this movie. Let's fuck my girlfriend. That will solve our problems. And Scott Mosher comes over and says, "We got a problem with the movie." I know. Let's fuck my girlfriend. I don't know how that's going to help with the movie budget, but okay.
I think Kevin Smith peaked with Good Will Hunting.
And he was like
He was just the producer.
of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that movie is kind of perfect.
No, Good Will Hunting is a good movie. I do agree. I should rewatch that. The speech from Robin Williams when he's like talking to Good Will Hunting that you're just a fucking kid. That's a great speech. It's sort of no.
And the message at the beginning, they lay out the theme. You know, why is trust important in a therapeutical relationship? That's what he asks the students in class, and the kid doesn't know the answer, but Robin Williams shows when he comes up to the end and tells Will, "This isn't your fault.
Yes,
You need that trust
Exactly.
because you need to tell them what they can't hear.
Yeah.
They have to hear it." So, wonderful movie.
But there you go. Recommendation for the Barbie movie and Good Will Hunting, and also many great trash that we talked about. Like, and it's like
I'm gonna go watch the
Measured
librarian movie.
recommendations. Measured recommendations. Measured recommendations.
We're going all over the place with this one.
Armageddon, Fall,
Guillermo del Toro, Cronenberg, anime, Barbie. So, Joe, anything you want to recommend?
I haven't like made or suggested anything recently. I don't know. Just
What's come up with the beautiful trash?
hydrating.
Recommend hydrating. Yes.
Recommend
Okay.
hydrating.
Remember, it has to be Gatorade. You don't want to get hyponatremia. If your salt levels go too low, then that's just as bad as being dehydrated. So, Edie,
I have my Instagram.
Yep.
Mhm.
Luna Agreo, for cat photos as well.
And Geek just shared it in the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isaiah Taylor, you have like 2 YouTube channels and your own Instagram as well.
Yes, and I actually uploaded a video to my on Friday about the Rosewood Massacre. That's the intelligence channel, and then I have another YouTube channel called the Autistic Monitor Society, where I do talks about how I build my kits. I haven't put videos up that yet, but I will soon, sometime later this month.
Metro, do you have anything to like suggest or like promote or like tell people to go check out?
There's a very good left-wing British YouTuber called No Justice, and No
Yep.
Justice MTG. She's a trans woman. She's proper left, and she's a good kind of introduction to left-wing UK politics.
Yes, I think I found her. Kevin Logan often like reads into her as well, or
She
like,
won't talk to Christy Winters.
Oh, okay, there you go. That's her YouTube channels were. That her Twitch channel is also linked there as well. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Okay, so and I'm Summer Geek on Twitch. I'm gonna be like streaming on Twitch, maybe playing some Fortnite until I get too frustrated with that game, and then play something else. Maybe, who knows? So Summer Geek on YouTube, even though I haven't posted anything like yet on there for months. Summer Geek on co-host, Tumblr, Twitter, and Blue Sky. I'm now on Blue Sky, and I have an invite code as it were. So
Remind me what Blue Sky is. Is that a Twitter replacement?
It's a Twitter replacement, but
Okay.
because of the invite code, you have to be invited, so that way it keeps Nazis out, or at least hopefully is the way
Hopefully.
too.
I mean, the libs will get in, and then the Nazis will follow, because scratch a liberal with fascist bleeds. Ely.
Could you send me that code, because I really need to get up Twitter.
There you go.
Sure, there you go. I will copy it over to you and send it to you in a DM, Billy. Okay. That's right. Kama Sutra Scholar is tonight. Oh wait, I think I was like mentioned in the thing by Aaron.
What time is that? 4?
Yeah, 4. So it's like
Okay.
probably. Oh no, it's probably like soon. So I'll just like at least link the Kama Sutra Scholars like YouTube channel in the chat right now, and like like in 11 minutes or so, basically she'll be like on as well too. So do check out the Kama Sutra Scholar, a good friend of the show too. We should have her on honestly at one of these times too. It'll be like a good conversation and talk. I'll DM her about that. And do basically into now. Yeah, contact Reg. And go ahead and contact Reg. You got anything to promote, like you can do so as well too. Osmo Dark. I'm guessing the flute voice is still like off right now, and then like a temporary hiatus as it were. So like, but hey, the YouTube channel of Flute Voice, you can still check out the old shows for sure, and old streams that they have where many of our friends have been on before, like Isaiah Taylor, like Kama Sutra Scholar, like Contact French, and like Joey Indigenous Heretic and such.
And they invited me on several weeks in advance, gave me lots of notice, and
Nice.
because I'm ADD, I completely forgot about it and didn't show up.
John.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I should have put it on a post-it and left it on my computer and set up a reminder on my phone, but no, I forgot.
But John Bruckman, you are part of another podcast, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. Dungeons and Debacles. We're not going to be able to record tonight, unfortunately. Kevin hurt his back and can't get out of his bed.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah. And he's even older than I am. He's not as old as Mithril, but...
No, not many people are.
Maybe Tom McDonald's older than you, Mithril.
Oh, yeah. I just looked
I
up
missed
to
Tom.
being brought the universe into existence.
Yeah, I understand that. Like Osman, Doc, we had our own things, but yeah,
I miss Tom. Tom.
Oh yeah, Tom. I think I still see him on Facebook as word, but like Tom, we all miss you. We all love you and stuff like that. We miss you saying "fuck off" to all of us as we're out of love.
Yes.
We kind of do need to fuck off sometimes. Especially now, because
Yeah.
we're 20 minutes over.
Yes. All right. Remember to hydrate and medicate and like do all those things.
Take care of yourself.
The cherryleaks page, if you can like have the spoons or the finances or the resources to be able to help others.
And remember, mutual aid includes self-care.
Yes.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye bye everyone.
Bye,
Take care, everyone.